now you call your music. Oh, where did it go? Groovetonics or Groovetonics.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that?
Well, it makes you move and it lifts your mood, like tonic, like a beverage of sorts, and just I always think that and this is how this is a good segue for Give Into the Groove, because when I started booking, I would get I'd get these club gigs, and because of the diversity of my music, some people, they want to just hear, like rock or straight ahead something, and sometimes I didn't really feel like my music really fit on that bill. And so I was like, I would just love to make an evening that just, that really captured what I would like to do. I'd like a little fashion, I'd like a little music, I'd like a little art, and I wouldn't mind a little charity either, and so that's why I end up doing this whole thing. But Groovetonics, I'm going to answer the question. It's basically, it makes you move and it lifts your mood. So it doesn't necessarily define the music as much as the emotion, that it's gonna move you somewhere, and it's gonna lift your mood, hopefully. So
I can see that. That makes sense.
Well, now, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just feel that that when people say, even like pop music, like pop music. I mean, if Sting and Madonna and Chris Martin are in the same group, I don't know. That doesn't necessarily really define the music. And then I couldn't really call myself an R&B singer because no one could touch Mary J. Blige. Nobody would want to.
Yeah.
And and I wouldn't. And that's not exactly. I mean, actually, what's really cool about the guy that I mostly collaborate with, I've done only one song with one other person as far as an MC being on my music, but I work with this guy named Prodigy, and and we are, we're similar in age. We've got a good experience together, but he comes from like South Central Cartel, and my dad was kind of a middle of the road business guy, but I wasn't in a neighborhood with guns or anything like that.
Right.
And so we really, when we first started writing, we actually were sending each other the music, and then he would just do his part, and then I would do my part. Then we started, it was just so easy. Then we started to meet each other personally. Like, we didn't even meet each other, but it was like we really just really related with, with the music, and without even knowing each other, like the lyrics and everything really seemed to, to really flow together. And so it was really awesome. It was so accidental, and so then all of a sudden that was, it just, it really is, it's been a long and awesome writing relationship.
Well, who would you consider to be some of your musical influences?
Sade is my very, 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 very favorite person, writer. I love her because she doesn't actually like to get a lot of press, but she really, like, her songs are so awesome and classic, and she's such a good performer, and her band is so great. And people always think it's going to be boring, and then they really learn how amazing she is and what a great musician she is and what a great musician her musicians are, and they're just fun and great. And I love Stevie Nicks, and I love Madonna, and I love Carole King. I kind of like really more like the songwriters, and then I love Madonna because I just think she's fun and, and appears unafraid. And now I like Alicia Keys, though she did say that she took fear out of her vocabulary, and I don't believe her.
She's good, though. I really love Alicia Keys.
Yeah, she's great. She's great.
Those are all good, really good influences, by the way. So, it sounds like you've gained your influences from a lot of different artists that are completely versatile. And, I couldn't agree with you more on Sade. I mean, she's up there with one of my all-time favorites. I don't think she makes a bad record, and I love the fact you don't see her in the press. You really don't. You don't see her giving interviews, and she's just very, very private, but she puts out such a good product. You can't help but fall in love with her music.
Yeah, and I also think when you see her live, you actually do feel like you get to know her in a way, and it's really like that. It's a really special artist-audience relationship. I mean, it was funny because I actually recently went to a John Legend. Sade, he is opening, and he's great. I mean, I think he's a great artist and everything, but I do think he pales in comparison to Sade. And I mean, not that I don't respect him. I've never said anything like that. It's like you respect anybody who has written good songs and they've seen the light that way. That's awesome. I'm not saying anything. But it was great because the people I was with were like, well, no, we're going to be leaving by the time Sade comes. I'm like, no, I'm not going to be wanting to go to the concert with you if that's what happens.
Yeah.
You know, so I had convinced them that it's going to be fine, and then, like, by the end, they are just, like, you know, not wanting to leave with all the swag. They just want everything. They're just, like, insane with love and emotion. And, you know, and so, but that's what happens because she's just really, she's special. So, anyways.
Well, I wanted to say congratulations for being nominated Best Female Artist in the category for 2013 through Rock Wired Radio Music Awards. It's wonderful.
That was, I was surprised and really, thank you. I'm so excited about it. I really am.
And people can still vote for you through the 22nd of February if they go to rockwired.com.
Yes, that's it. And then you have to, you know, go to an area, and then you have to scroll down for Best Female Artist.
Okay. Well, that's great. I'm sure you're getting a lot of votes. I have no doubt you'll probably win this.
I hope so. There's some good girls here.
That'll be the next step.
Yes.
Also, I wanted to touch on your Given to the Groove charity.
Yeah.
That is something wonderful that you're giving back to your community.
Thanks. I'm very excited. This is going to be the 10th time I've done it, actually.
10th?
Wow. 10th time. And it really has grown so much, and now we benefit 13 charities. When people come in, it's actually only, it used to be a free event. Now it has to be $5 event. And then people come in and they just put their money towards their charity, and then everything is voluntary. So the idea is that there's no gift that's too big or too small.
Mm-hmm.
People, you know, a lot of the times they'll either offer their time and their talent. They'll offer space. Sometimes people give, you know, huge donations. It depends, but it's really fun because, you know, my experience with parties when they say, oh, it's $20 and it goes to something, like people are upset if they didn't get a glass of champagne or if they didn't get a beer or if they didn't get something, they're upset. Mm-hmm. This way you get everything, you know, everybody can afford to be generous. And if you can't afford to give to your own charity, you can play for your favorite charity. And I get companies to underwrite, like, musical chairs, so it's totally fun. Like, you know, like kids will be like, you know, who are you playing for? The Humane Society. What kid last year was hilarious. He was like, breast cancer. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which he was just kind of, it was a little ridiculous, but it was funny. And it was great, you know, and then they compete for it, and then the number one person, the first prize, will get to give $500 to the charity of their choice. So it's not paid for by them. They get the company to underwrite it, and then the companies love it because they get to give the money directly to the charities, and Hot Sauce Records doesn't touch any of it, you know, so there's, you know, so it's just a direct donation, and it's just really great. It's all ages. We do art projects. We do games. The Family Fun games have really turned out to be very fun, and we have a lot of really spirited musicians here that are just really incredible. We have a band, March Madness Band. It has literally people from age 7 to like 80 in it, like amazing musicians, dancers, and they do tons of events throughout the year, but I mean,
that name rings a bell. It seems like I've heard of them.
You may have. I mean, they do, you know, honk, and they do all the different things. I mean, it's kind of a, you know, those sort of like circusy bands, sort of, you know, it's not a completely original idea, but I'm proud of the one that we have in Lexington. They're original, and they're awesome, and they're very talented musicians, and so they're very much a part of the event. It's just every year is different, and by telling people that no gift is too big or too small, I'm often surprised by the big gifts that people gesture because they do have a lot to give. And when you don't ask them for, you know, $5,000, it's amazing how you can get 10. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just
right.
So, and then in the meantime, everything else is underwritten. So if we don't meet those kinds of numbers, if we don't succeed in that way, we'll have at least succeeded in the way that people are gathered together for good vibes. It'll be a great show. You know, fun times, and so it's always a plus. Like it's been very fun, and it's like my favorite thing for sure.
Well, what are some current projects that you're working on right now? Are you working on any new music or?
Yeah. Well, I just finished that song "All of Me," and then we're going to be doing a video for that come next month. I'm going to be trying to release a single like every month in the next year because I was going to do an album, but I decided I'm just going to do a single a month. because I feel like it's more, gets up on iTunes, it's fun, and it gives me something as an independent artist to announce rather than, wait until a collection of 11 or more are completed. And so that's how I'm going to be doing that. And then hopefully we're going to be having some more shows, like a local, like sort of Southeastern tour in late April, beginning of May. So we're working on that to make that happen. And that's it for the short term, and just keep on doing really what I do, which is basically just keep on writing music, keep on trying to find fun shows. But I don't really do as many smaller shows right now because since actually, my sister actually passed away, I had to come and move back here. My mom lives with me. There's a whole thing. So I have to sort of organize my time in a different way temporarily. But, but it'll all, we'll get back on track, and gosh knows it's provided tons of inspiration. So that's it. We're going to do that. We're going to do the Southeastern tour. I'm going to keep on writing and hope to get to the Grammys and Oscars by February. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, I'm not kidding. But.
That would be awesome. That would be, that is a dream, and I don't think that is far-reaching at all. I think you are definitely in line with, getting there and being able to have that dream realized. Your music is just absolutely phenomenal. And is there something within the musical realm that you've not had a chance to do as of yet? You write, you produce, you sing, you have this charity. I mean, you're doing a lot of different things. Is there something that you would just love to tap into?
I would like to start vocal producing for other people to sort of help them arrange music. I'd like to get more on the production level of other, with other artists. And I think that is in the life, that's definitely in the lifelong goals. I just think that it's, it just that's how I feel about music. It's just, it's something that, it's a wonderful thing to be able to communicate with somebody and get them to also, even I feel that way even with musicians when I'm producing my songs. I get to say to a musician, well, that's a beautiful line, but I don't really hear the sadness of the guitar. And I might express it that way, and then all of a sudden, suddenly it's like this great performance. Whereas before it was good and nobody would boo you off the stage, but it's the thing that sort of, helps bring it out. I actually wish that I had more producers on me all the time. I've worked with some good producers for sure. But, sometimes I'm just sitting here and, I just love to write. So I'm like, yay, that's a song. Okay, I'm on to the next. Yay, that's a song. I'm on to the next. I'm not completely, I'm not completely, torturing myself and going through every line. But I think that sort of experience, actually is very beneficial in the way that I think it can, bring the best out of artists and talents. And I would like to do it for other people, and I would like to work with, for instance, I'd love to work with Clive Davis. I would love to work with Pharrell. I would love to work with Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars would be my fantasy situation for another
great one.
But he's just so fun and just so, he's just being so fun and so musical and so not cornered creatively. So, so I guess that's it. Just sort of more production experience, just to be able to do it all the time. Like right now, sometimes I do have to hold off because there's not enough money all the time to be moving full steam ahead. And, I would like to be able to always do it. I'd like to be able to do it, and I'd like to be able to do it better and then more. I'd love to be able to record a song on a glacier in Iceland. You know what I mean? I'd love to do something, just the experience, just to really, just the experience. It's the best.
How many different instruments do you play?
I don't play any. I mean, I play
you
keyboards,
but
I don't.
Any?
No. And it's very funny because the first person that I worked with actually, there was when my first album, I worked with this producer who actually worked with Sergio Menendez, and then the producers or the other musicians that he hired were actually really awesome. The guy who did La Isla Bonita and percussion and. And a guitar player from Yanni, and just these just sick musicians that were just incredible. And so when I met the Isla Bonita guy, he was a founding member of Rose Royce, and he had worked with Norman Whitfield. And he's my good friend Terry Santiel, who's a great percussionist. And he said to me, "You hear everything. You hear everything." Norman Whitfield did not play one because